Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Sorry about the rain. It's brilliant sky blue and sunshine 20 minutes ago when I went out for a coffee, and now it's raining. It's just strange weather at the moment, it's coming and going. But nonetheless, I need to crack on with this. I've got other things to do. So this is everything in bloom on the 8th, actually on the 8th, because it does, we do miss it sometimes. I haven't got a huge amount, I must admit, but and a fair bit of what I've got was in last month's, so it's actually lasting through, if you know what I mean. But we have got some new stuff, and we've got some stuff that we've lost. Now I normally start on my left and go round. I'm going to start on my right this time, because this is where most of what's in bloom gets put. I like to keep this area here with most of what's in bloom, simply because I can see it from my workstation, where my laptop is and everything. I look straight through this area and out into the garden and where the bird feeder is and everything, and it's so I deliberately keep things in bloom over here so that I can see them all the time. And that's one of the bonuses of having a conservatory that's alongside the house. I don't actually have to go anywhere to see my orchids. They're under my nose, basically. Right, so Dendrobium nesta has gone. I will be trimming those blooms off in a minute and putting the actual orchid itself back on the hanging racks. That's where it lives, basically. And I've probably got a couple of other dendrobiums that can come back out here that at the moment I can't see because they're on the racks, and they can come over here where I can see them. So I'll be moving a few things about. The Dendrobium hercoglossum at the moment is absolutely stunning. I'm pretty confident that's the best blooming I've ever had. Very, very good blooming. And it's just the fact that the sheer number of buds have opened all at the same time. It's normally staggered over a period of time with a peak. But this time there's a lot more in that peak. We've still got buds to come. But yeah, this is, it's difficult to explain why, but this is still one of my favourite dendrobiums. It just is. And this is why I've got this hung up high, so that I can walk underneath it and look up at the blooms. And that's where they're at their best, when you look up at them. And you can almost see through them, with that dark spot in the middle. Lovely delicate blooms. And I've still got no sign of life on the plant. I've still got no new growth starting. But then everything is late this year, it just is. Right, coming round here, we can now see in all its glory the Miltoniopsis has opened up. Two other blooms over here opening. We've got a damaged one here, the bud got knocked, but this one's okay. And we've still got some other buds to come and some spikes just starting, so this is going to be in bloom a nice long time. But the blooms are massive, they really are large, and I doubt if the camera is going to do it justice. It might do, but this is a deep velvety red. It's an absolute gorgeous colour. And then this colour is difficult to describe because it's not really red and yet it's not purple, it's sort of somewhere in between. And then that wonderful splash pattern that's nice and clearly edged with the white and the yellow centre, plus this strange colour inside the splash. Difficult to say what that is, it's bordering on orange. But yeah, gorgeous bloom on there. Very, very little fragrance, because Miltoniopsis are often very fragrant, but this one isn't. And then behind that we've got this dendrobium that was misnamed. It was supposed to be Frosty Dawn Red Lip. Well, it isn't. Therefore, we don't know what it is. There are so many dendrobium hybrids that are along these lines, it would be almost impossible to get a definitive ID. So it will just be known as dendrobium hybrid, along with some others that I've got. Gorgeous colour inside the lip. Let's see. Very nice blooms, very, again, a good size. And then next to it we've got this strange little thing. I'll be doing pop-ups for the names, which is good because I can't remember for the life of me what this one is. But I'll see if I can get in reasonably close, because it's all in the detail with this one. It's all in the detail. Beautiful spotty pattern, absolutely gorgeous, but well spread out blooms on the spike and all facing in different directions. In fact, now I was going to say they're almost a spiral, but they're not. But if you look at the distance between the blooms, there's no clustering, so they're all spaced out, spread out, and then the other little spike down here. So that's that. And then behind that we've got Dendrobium Victoria Regina, which is going over, unfortunately, which is sad. We have to wait for another blooming. They often bloom twice a year, so we might get some more later in the year, but it does a colour change. As the blooms go over, they go from the, well, it's not really blue, but purpley blue, to a pink colour. They do change quite dramatically, but luckily we do have a nice one here that's facing us, so you know, I can do a reasonable close-up on that one with any luck. I'm just going to draw that lip down because the colour inside there is absolutely gorgeous. Hang on, let me just, I need to get this to focus first and then do that, so that you can see that coloration in there. So there's that one. There's no more buds to open on here, but there are some that haven't long been open, so that you know, they will last a while yet. But the clusters are, all the clusters have signs of going over now. And then behind that we have this object. It's along the lines of tiger tail, but I've got two, and they both look like tiger tail, but they're not both the same. So one of them could be, but then if that one is, then the other one isn't, if you see what I mean. So again, intergeneric hybrid of some sort. Good colour changer, and both sets of colours are nice. When it opens, you can see it on this bloom. You see the yellow around the edges. That's the colour on the lip as well. It's a nice sort of yellow with the orangey autumn type colour. It looks very attractive, but as it fades, the yellow fades to white, and it's most noticeable on the lip where it does go a true white. So it's quite a dramatic colour change on there. And then coming round the corner, Dendrobium lindleyi is not long for this world. I don't mean the plant, I mean the blooms. So the latest spikes to open have been open long enough that they're starting to go. So we're not going to have these blooms much longer, but they are short-lived. That is how they are. But while they're around, what a gorgeous splash of yellow. Absolutely wonderful. But, you know, 2 to 3 weeks, that's all you get. And I've had this open quite a long time now, but you can see how long ago some of the spikes were open because they've shriveled and died. So yeah, you don't get long, and then they go. And then underneath there, still in bloom and still with us, is the Miltoniopsis primary cross, Venus. And again, these blooms look like they're starting to fade. Telltale sign is the deeper purple on the lip. And as the blooms start to go, that will look like it's got wet and the colours have started to run, like a watercolour painting when you let the colours run into each other. And that will be the telltale sign that they'll be on the floor in a couple of days. But that's been open a long time. It's lasted really, really well. So that's good. And then up on high, my Ivanagara apple blossom is still in bloom. See if I can get a nice close-up on that lip. Because that's, as far as the blooms are concerned, it's the lip. That's what it's all about, it's the lip. As far as the colours are concerned, because it's the combination of colours. So again, that won't be long for this world, but it's holding up at the moment. It's doing okay. And there should be 2 leads on this plant, and one of them semi-failed. It did produce a bulb, but it was less than half the size it should have been, so it failed to bloom. whereas the other one pushed on and did bloom. But we got damage on this bulb here. This is the one that's in bloom, and I got a feeling that might have been a slug when the bulb was incredibly young. So it took the outside edge off of it, and then it grew with it, if you know what I mean. So that's that one. And then even higher up, this is going to stretch my arm, is my epidendrum. And this will be in bloom a very, very long time because it basically continues. The buds just keep coming up through the middle of the top and open, and then blooms drop off at the lower end of the spike. So it's like a continuous bloomer, but it refreshes itself with new blooms all the time. So that'll be with us for some time, although I don't see a huge number of buds coming up the middle at the moment. So this might be its final set, but each individual bloom lasts a fair time. So it'll be with us a while yet. And then over here, whoops, there goes the sprayer. Caught my foot in the spray bit, the hose bit. Over here, nothing, not a light. All that lot and nothing. The Nobly type's going over now. They've been lost. We do have some buds coming though, so you know there will be some more blooms on that before it's finished. And then coming round here, that sounds quite low. Coming round here, my Dendrobium conico has started to bloom again. This has had a rest, basically, a gap, when it wasn't doing much at all. This may be one of the ones I'll pull round to replace the Nesta, as it's got some colour on it. Don't see many signs of other clusters coming though. It's just this one, or pair, on the same cane. So I'm not sure whether I'll move that or not. We shall see. And then let me just push that round a bit. Then coming round here, we've got the one and only single bloom, Dendrobium tortilli. And I don't know how long this is going to last. Quite honestly, for this plant, what's more important is what's going on up here. We've got new growths and new root activity. So that's the bit that's going to push the strength of the plant so that these two canes will be in bloom next year. And hopefully, because of their size and what will be their backup, we should get a reasonable blooming next year. Last year's 2-year-old canes are the bloomers, and this one wasn't up to full size, nor was this one. The buds on this one blasted, and this one, there were 2 buds and only one actually opened. But at least we got to see what they look like, because it's a first time bloomer. So yeah, I don't know how long they're going to last though. If they last a nice long time, then this will be a well worth having plant with the nice twisty petals and sepals. So it'll be well worth having. If they don't last long, well, not so much. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to reach this without doing myself a mischief, but what's good about this plant is, again, what's going on down here. This is the important bit, root activity and new growths. But we've had our blooms, they've come and gone, except for that one. Now, I'm going to have to take this off of my hand so that I can use my fingertips to get it up high enough to be able to film it, and I won't be holding it up there for long, that's for sure. I can't for the life of me see what I'm doing, so hopefully I'm filming the bloom and not the roof. But I'm just pointing the camera, I can't see the screen, the lights on it. I know what I can do. I turn the screen facing me downwards. Now I can definitely know that I'm filming the bloom. Right, so there we go. This one's not going to last too much longer. It was the last one to open, and being a black hair type, they do last a long time. But the more important thing on this plant now is to get the new growth going, hopefully grow a cane as big as the one I grew last year, and these are capable of blooming more than once per cane. So this really large cane here has produced 1 bud. I suspect it will produce more down the line, Like if you look here, you know, this has bloomed in several places on this cane. So we should get some more out of that one down the line. Of course, maybe I'll make. Right, this one's definitely coming over onto the display area now that the top two buds have opened. It wasn't worth moving it for these two down here because they're hidden in behind leaves, whereas these two are nicely out in the open. So again, attractive blooms, and they last quite a while. It's another black hair type, and you can virtually say across the board, even with the hybrids, let alone the species, the black hair type blooms do last well. So they are like a good investment from the point of view you do get your money's worth as far as the blooms lasting a long time. But the majority of them only bloom once a year. They have their blooms and then they do their growth thing and they have a bit of a rest, and then they come back into bloom again. So attractive blooms there, and then more and more greenery. Lots of greenery. And we've got two Masdevallias out at the moment. Out of all my Restrepias, there's not one bloom at the moment, but I think they need their media refreshing. We've already gone over that. Right, so what we've got here is a Coelogeny leaf in the way, which will move. We've got this Masdevallia hybrid here, which is on a very tatty looking plant. But there are new growths coming, and it now has a reasonable root system. So these older leaves will eventually drop, and hopefully the new ones, well, that's not going to help it much, is it? That's bad scale. I'll have to deal with that. I don't want to play with it now because I'll knock them off and they'll go down in the pot. So I'll just leave them and do them in a bit when I can put the camera down. So this is a really nice hybrid. It's got no name or anything like that, but it's nice shades of cream through sort of pale yellow to deep yellow, with like orange tails. So it's a nice set of colours. Nice attractive bloom. And then last but not least is the Masdevallia Inca Prince. And again, lovely attractive bloom on there with its sheen. That purple sheen is the light catching the hair. It's covered in tiny little hairs, and it's the way the light catches them that gives it that purple sheen. So again, very attractive. And that, this time, is it. And no, I haven't forgotten anything. I usually forget something, don't I? One of my house Phalaenopsis has got blooms on it, but I'm not going in the kitchen to film that at the moment, and they're about to drop off anyway. They are, like most Phalaenopsis, as they drop off, they close. So they almost turn back into what they look like as buds. So they sort of half close, and then you get up the next day and they're on the windowsill. So that's that. Right, so there we go. That's everything in bloom on the 8th. There's going to be quite a bit less next month because of the state that most of the plants are in. They would have spikes forming by now if they were going to be open, ready for next month, and they're not. We've got an awful lot of the Oncidium types and intergenerics that are growing madly. They're not getting to the point where they're doing their spikes yet. So we may be a bit thin on the ground next month. Midsummer, you know. Right, big thank you for everybody who's left comments, trying to select the chosen few to be filmed when I do the massive load of repotting that I've got to do. I've got to think about that because a very good suggestion was actually left as a comment, rather than specifically choosing one or two plants I'd like to see, was how about doing one from each of the sets. So like do one holy clay pot, do one Oncidium type, you know, do one of the different types of dendrobiums like a nobile and perhaps another type, do a Restrepia, do a Masdevallia. Yeah, you get the gist of where I'm going with this. So where there are quite a few to do that are the same type, just do one of them. Doesn't matter which one, does it? You know, like I mean, I've got at least 2 Restrepias, 2 giant ones to do. Well, I won't film them both. They're going to be a struggle. But I would definitely film one of them because those have been chosen. But you see where I'm going, so that I'll look through all the comments to find out the most popular ones, and you know, we'll go from there. I mean, I've got a Cattleya type that's a new plant. Well, that could be classed as something worth doing because it's a new plant, so it'll be its first repot. I've got a holy clay pot to do, which will be, it's a repot, yes, but I potted it like that in the first place, so it'll be at least its second one. And then we've got several different types of dendrobium to do. And yeah, I think we should get several videos out of it, but I don't want dozens, which was the problem I initially had with the sheer number of plants that I've got to repot, which came as a bit of a surprise because I didn't think I had that many. Now, some of the ones that when we went through the list looking at the red boxes, some of those were to be looked at, and I'm like 80-90% confident they don't need repotting. So although they sort of look like they're on the list to look at, not necessarily to repot. So those sort of could be excluded. The Victoria Regina is one of those. I haven't repotted that. It's still in the same media as when it came from Burnham's, but that media was brand new when I got it. It had only just been potted up. So it's still okay, it doesn't need doing, but I'll have a look at it and just check that the bark is still sound and not starting to get a bit crumbly. So yeah, we'll go with that. And for those of you who are interested, there's a few new videos have gone up on the bonsai channel. I've done a few over there. So if you're interested, because I know that there probably were people that went across from the Orchid channel to actually subscribe because I asked them to, but didn't necessarily want notifications about every video that I post. They're nowhere near as frequent on the bonsai channel. Anyway, there's 1 or 2 over there that you might not have seen if you've lost touch with it, that you might be interested in, or not. And again, thanks for those who did pop across and subscribe to get the numbers up. It's doing okay. I mean, I'm up to about 630 subscribers now, aiming for that magic 1,000 obviously, and my watch hours are 1,780 something last time I looked. So again, heading towards 2,000, which is half of what I need. So every video that's watched on that channel contributes to that watch hour total. Obviously I've got to get to the magic 4,000 for that, but it's coming along nicely, and I'm getting quite a few people from other bonsai channels subscribing to mine. So this tit for tat does actually work, and I'm hoping that some of their viewers would come across and have a look and perhaps stay as well, that don't necessarily have channels, if you see what I mean. So yeah, it's coming along, it's doing okay. Right, so that will do for today, and yeah, I'll see you next time. The next video is highly likely to be the first of the repotting videos. The other thing that was suggested is that it might be worth lumping a few plants together because they're going in the same media. So I can mix up one batch of media and do several plants at the same time. Yeah? Now, a lot of people with the repotting videos, they like the unpotting bit more than the potting bit, because that's where the discussion goes about what bits to keep, why some bits are getting chopped off, you know, talking about the root system, what sort of media would be best suited to that particular plant. Does it need to be drier in winter, in which case we don't want a moisture retentive media? All those sort of discussions normally happen before it gets put in its new pot. So we'll see how we go. Anyway, I haven't decided how to split them all up yet. That plane's going round in circles, and they sound like they're ever decreasing circles because every circuit is coming closer to me. That one was virtually overhead. That'll be a training flight from the airport, and he might even be waiting to actually go and land, and they're just told to circle. You know, there might be something big coming in and he's just got to get out of the way. So be it. But yeah, they are noisy when they're low. Right, see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.